I'm going to tell you the astro jargon, and then we're going to get into a fun analogy. I guarantee you'll understand this for a long time. I'm going to call it exciting. We're going to flip the script. We're not going to call it bad or good or anything. It's exciting. It's like a climax moment or the beginning of a brand new series that you're like, oh, okay, I want to watch that. This is interesting. This is intriguing. And some people are saying it's the worst astrology of the year. Why do they say that? Well, because it's about Mars and Saturn. There is a building opposition, and that happens once every 2 years. Both of them are in difficult places. Mars is in detriment in Libra, according to the dignity scheme. Mars, which is so independent, bold, courageous, free. In Aries, no strings attached, no sidekicks. No one else is needed, man. Just an independent space. Mars is on the other side, where it's required. Libra requires a counterbalance. It requires a partnership. And Mars has to play by those rules. It requires diplomacy and compromise. Now, Mars will do it, but it doesn't mean that it's super happy about it or super easy. We also have Saturn. Saturn is in a, that sounded weird. It was weird because Saturn's with a weird dude, is with Neptune. Saturn is in an even more challenging position because Saturn is in its fall in Aries. Yeah, it's retrograde and it's tied to Neptune. And those two together, I'm going to give you another analogy in a minute, but the first one that came to my mind was from Cars. One's called Sarge and he's an army Jeep, and the other one is Fillmore, I believe, and he's a VW bus, and they're always together, and they're just completely like incompatible seeming. One is very strict and regimented, that's Sarge, and the other one's always high, and that's the he's like cosmic, man. You can see how that could be a little complex. And Saturn is in exaltation in Libra on the other side. So enjoys the counterbalance, enjoys the rules, the curation. And that can take some time to make everything perfectly balanced, which is good. Saturn's the ruler of time, likes things slow. But Saturn's in Aries, where it's not about that. It's like battle in Aries. Like if you have a bunch of connections that you have to worry about, you can't really do the thing you need to do. So on top of that, what else? What else, Lindsay? Tell me more. We have a full moon in Aquarius coming August 9th, and all this is being built into it. Get a look at this chart real quick. You can see it. Just look at the image. What do you notice? What do you notice when you look at it? What you're seeing there is a big triangle. That's a grand air trine between Mars, Uranus, and Pluto. Not only a grand trine, but a minor triangle on top of that. Now, notice that big red line across. That's from Mars to Saturn and Neptune. That's what we were talking about at the beginning. That's where the complication comes in. Once every 2 years, Mars and Saturn, they have to oppose each other and come to some counterbalance, some agreement. We also have the moon opposing the sun, which is how it always is, but it makes it look even more ominous. It's like X marks the spot here. This is one opposition that is something that we're used to. You know, we have it every month. We have an opposition between the sun and the moon, but the moon is reflective of whatever the sun's trying to express, which is Leo. And so that becomes part of what is being illuminated. There's going to be some short-term stuff. So August 6th, 7th to August 16th. So it's about 10 days where that particular thing with the opposition is going to be big, but there's a longer story that's developing, which will be our minor triangle. So you can use whatever I'm telling you now to remember this for a very long time. So if you're ready, Avengers assemble. With one caveat. Okay, I'm only using the Avengers because I know you probably know about them. They've been around since 2008. They're still making movies about them in the MCU. Until 2028, I think there's a couple more Avengers movies coming out. But I want to go back to 2013 when everybody liked the Avengers, when it was like full force doing well, pre-jump the shark. What does jump the shark mean? Well, it's like a idiom, I guess, that indicates when a show or a movie or a series declines in quality, introduces weird elements. It's like a departure. Whatever was appealing to us about it is just dissipated. And one more step further, just for fun, it has to do with the point where Fonzie from Happy Days jumps over a shark while he's water skiing in his leather jacket. So, okay, so let's get our cast of characters. We're going to take Mars in Libra, Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, and we're going to give them each an Avenger. First, we're going to take Mars in Libra, and that will be Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow. Very strong, very powerful, but continually has to work from the bottom, basically. She's a skilled fighter, but she got kind of screwed because she got forced to be a spy, a Russian spy. Lots of things happened to her relationally that have been very challenging for her. But if you notice, if you remember, she's always kind of paired up with somebody. She was with Hawkeye for a while, then she was paired up with the Hulk, and then she was kind of like the mom of the group, and she was always kind of trying to balance things out. Natasha Romanoff is really focused on justice. She wants to make things right, and she has charm, she has beauty, which is very Libra. And she often works behind the scenes, collaborating, balancing her assertiveness to find some harmony. That's all she's looking for. And she even martyrs herself, which Mars, martyr, they're from the same etymology of the word. She martyrs herself at some point to save others. Next is Pluto in Aquarius. This is a long-term one to remember because Pluto's in Aquarius for 19 years, okay? So we'll be here for a while. Pluto in Aquarius is going to be the character of Vision. If you remember who Vision was was kind of like a computer program. It was Jarvis, so knew everything, had all this information, very Aquarian, and became put into a human kind of body with a stone, an infinity stone, which was the Mind Stone. So Pluto Aquarius is the planet of transformation, power, change, but it's operating in a very forward-thinking, community-oriented sign, but also the outsider. Like Vision was unlike anybody else. He was a completely unique creature, person. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be offensive to you, Vision, but I don't know what to call you, bud. He had a synthetic mind and cosmic insights, kind of like he just knew so much because he had the Mind Stone in his head. This embodies the transformative nature of Pluto. Pluto has a vision. It knows what it needs to do. The will, the force, very Schopenhauer. It's something that's pushing, and there's no stopping it. But within that, we have some free will to play within the rules. Next, we look at Uranus and Gemini. It's Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. Uranus is innovation, rebellion, does not give an F about anything. Sudden change, thriving in a place that's quick. Gemini is fast communication, quick-witted, and that's Tony Stark, super intellect, genius, cutting-edge technology, ahead of his time. Maybe the things he creates is too soon for the world, stuff like that. Other people get hold of the technology and everything gets messed up. This is another long-term one to remember. There will be breakthroughs in digital platforms and education and media. Everything's sort of just shifting right now. It's connecting in a trine to Pluto. So these two work really well together. And in the MCU, Vision was Jarvis, which was the BFF computer dude that helped Tony Stark. The last casting that we have here is Saturn-Neptune and Aries, and that is Captain America, Steve Rogers, and Doctor Strange. They are actually paired up in a mission that they can't separate from each other. So they actually are going to combine as one and make the best of both of them, like a super duper hero. Captain, Doctor, America, Strange, I don't know, something like that. Saturn is in its fall, right? We talked about that. It struggles there because it wants discipline, it wants plans, it wants the slow strategic moves, but that's not how Aries works. If you need to move, you need to move. It's going to clash with the need to act. Sometimes they just don't work together. You have to be decisive. And Steve Rogers embodies that Saturn drive for structure, responsibility, the old way. By golly. And Aries, it might be a little bit too much for him to face that because it's a lot of shifting. But he figures things out. Steve Rogers always comes out on top, even when he has to go back and forth in time and be cryogenically whatever. I don't know. He's powerful dude. Neptune in Aries is Doctor Strange because Neptune is visionary, sees way beyond spiritual energy, can move space and time. That's very Neptune. This is a long-term one to remember as well because this will be in Aries a long time. Doctor Strange is Neptune. It brings in that mystical insight, bold exploration, brilliance, something that's beyond its time. And he does understand time, which is interesting because Saturn is the ruler of time. But if you think about Doctor Strange as Neptune, it's even beyond that. Together, they form a really powerful duo, and this is building into February of 2026. They're going to get closer and closer and closer until they combine as one. The other ones in Aries that weren't at zero, the Renaissance, Age of Enlightenment, go all the way back to the beginning of civilization. It's probably the last 0 degree Aries, Neptune, and Saturn conjunction. So now let's put this all together. What is going on with these characters? Many of them are working well together. Mars, Pluto, and Uranus in a nice flowing trine. They're all about the same ideas, thoughts, blending together. They're a family. Then we have that nice minor triangle. Those are working really well together too, stimulating ideas, independence, and value. Now, where's the challenge? It comes from Natasha Romanoff to the top up there, Captain America and Doctor Strange. It's really complex. This would be a good Avengers movie, I guess. There's going to be a tension between the independent leadership, the collaborative approach on the other side. There may be some friction in the world in the next 10 days where there's going to need to be diplomacy and balance. And then on the other side, there's just action. Just has to act. Something has to happen. So can we take it one step further and apply this to our lives? Yeah, sure. Why not? This is the fun part. Individuation is critical. Understanding who we are and what we're doing here. That was in my newsletter as well. If you follow that, I had questions at the beginning. If we answer those 6 or 7 questions in our heart, like who am I? What am I doing here? What do I need to release? What do I believe? What do I know for sure? Like really focusing in on that creates a foundation for whatever comes next. Because if you're secure in yourself, this is that Saturn-Neptune thing that's happening. Saturn is going to find us in these situations where we're going to be tested, combining with the wisdom of Neptune. That will be worth it. It'll be worth it. Makes it worth it. The meaning. What is the meaning of anything? Well, we've put a lot of junk on top of meaning. True meaning is a connection that we have to what's bigger than us. So how do we channel it? Well, the Black Widow part, Mars and Libra, this is a pretty short period. It's not too long. Remembering that conflict can be resolved through sometimes compromising. Not compromising our dignity, our ethics, our spirituality, but understanding some things have to be compromised in order to get along in this world. We can't just be completely independent. Maybe that's the message. Emulating vision, this is a long-term one. Pluto and Aquarius, embracing those big changes, integrating them into ourselves in a way through community. I think that's the best way. Not feeling alone, expand ourselves through interaction with others that are like-minded, who have similar values, that want the same thing. So many people are waking up. Yeah, this may be challenging, but this feels more like a choice of an individual connecting to spirit, and then coming together as a collective community to build something big and beautiful, despite all the difficulty that may be coming through. We can be like Iron Man, Uranus and Gemini, explore these new ideas, these new thoughts, tools, get ahead of it, communicate that spark in your area of life wherever Gemini is. Together, the Avengers, sometimes they fight. It's a really terrible movie. There was that one. It had to do with Ant-Man getting really big in the airport. I don't know. I couldn't even watch that one through. It's a Civil War, Captain America Civil War, yeah. They fight each other sometimes, but they all end up with a similar agenda, which is to help bring balance and fairness and justice. So in the end, that's kind of where we're going. If you're still here and you like my videos, you may be interested in my membership. It's only $1.99 a month, and I'm making pretty long videos there, half an hour, 40 minutes, where we're discussing this book, Astrology, Karma, and Transformation. We talk about the reality of what astrology may really be. Like, what is this connection that we have to a karmic experience? And we just talked about the 3 zodiac signs that are karmically most challenged. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description below. I hope you have a beautiful week ahead. This is a lot. It's a lot going on, but if you switch the script and see it as an adventure, as a storyline, there's a lot going on. We just got to know the characters and know how they work in our lives as well. I like you just the way you are, and I will talk to you next time.